20 years ago, they laughed at him. 20 years ago, he wasn't worth $20,000, let alone 150 billion.
The biggest thing that's missing from you, from your mission actually happening, is momentum. You're a genius. You've got great ideas. That thing that's in here needs to be birthed.
I truly think that the thing that I've suffered from the most in my life, as I look at Kobe and, you know, all these pictures of these great people, you know, dude, I just thought too small.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso, keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee and sip on today's message from Dan Pena. Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
But no one does know initially, up front. You have to try. You have to swing at the plate. A kid like you, if you had to keep track of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, what you do. Jeff is worth about $150 billion, the founder of Amazon. This is what he looked like almost 20 years ago. "20 years ago, they laughed at him. 20 years ago, he wasn't worth $20,000, let alone 150 billion. Now he's got a company, roughly speaking, around $1 trillion. A little less, maybe 150 billion less because of the sell-off in the market, etc. But they laughed at him. He had an idea. He had a dream. Like him, I had a dream about 35 years ago. I am the first person on the planet that took an option for something he did not own, public, on a major stock exchange. I'm going to say, okay, I don't own that book, right? I paid him $1. I want an option. I'll give you $5 for that book a year from now. I took an option. I took that book, not owning it, and I sold it on the New York Stock Exchange for $150 million. That's what I did. And that was the beginning of my quantum leap.
What would the boldest version of you do? Think about your mission. Think about your goals. Think about what you are trying to accomplish. You've got what you're doing now, but think about what the boldest version of you, if you summoned the boldest version of you into existence right now, what would he or she tell you to do? So when I did my tour earlier this year, it was 90 days, 23 cities. And at first I wanted to do it for free. I love doing free coffee shop meetups every time I travel to a new city. And I told my agent, Steve in New York, hey man, this is my idea. He said, you need to charge for the event. You gotta play bigger. You gotta do a bolder version of you. And it's freaked me out. It scared me because I don't want to disappoint people. And the idea of charging for something and then me disappointing people and then hitting that fear every 4 days, because I got up in a new city every 3 to 4 days for 90 days, was me being able to conquer my fears. And so Steve pushed me, and I have Steve's voice in my head. It's like, you need to play bigger. You got to do something bolder. What's the next step? And so I'm looking at my next tour coming up in 2020 around my book, Built to Serve, and I'm trying to think, how do I make it even bigger? How do I make it even bolder? Because what I've done has been great. And it's not trying to take away from what I've done. It's amazing. I'm proud of myself. I'm grateful. Awesome. And I know I'm capable of more. And I know I need to do something at the next level, because if I want to go off and accomplish my mission, I need to. Because at the rate I'm going right now, I'm not going to hit 1 billion people. I'm not going to solve the world's biggest problem. I'm not going to have the impact and reach that I know I can have unless I demand more boldness, bigger scale from myself on a daily basis. And so for me, having Steve's voice in my head, having Elon Musk's voice in my head, having Steve Jobs and Ipa Giannini and my parents and Kanye West and Howard Schultz constantly in my head, the content that I make is for myself. It's selfish for myself, and then I share it with you guys, and thankfully you like it, so I could build a business around it and hire a team and keep creating more. What makes you bold? What makes you come alive? And how do you summon that creature on a daily basis? If you wake up and you daily, every day, consistently are bringing the boldest version of you, even for 1 year, if you woke up every day for 1 year and summoned the boldest version of you, your life is gonna look dramatically different 1 year from today. So how do you start playing a bigger game and being more bold? I'm gonna give you a 3-step process that I think is gonna help. Step number 1, what would the boldest version of you do? Just asking that question, just taking 5 minutes, sit down, grab your coffee, eat your breakfast, have no distractions, and just think about it for 5 minutes. What would the boldest version of you today do? What would you do? Look at your day ahead. Look at your plans. Look at what you've got up in your schedule today. If you were bold, if you summoned the boldest version of you today, what would you do differently? And then summon the strength and summon the courage and go do that thing. Step number 2 is think big and act small. Think big, act small. You have to think big because you're an entrepreneur. You've got big dreams, big ambitions. We want to change the world. You got an important mission, a vision that's driving you every day, right? I feel it. I'm connected to it too. I got a big vision that I never want to end. I want to chase it down for the rest of my life. But sometimes the big vision, yes, it is empowering and yes, it is inspiring, but sometimes it seems too big. Sometimes it seems impossible. Sometimes it seems like we're never going to do it without getting venture capital and partnerships and a huge team and all of these things. And then you stack it on top of each other and then you don't do anything because it's too big an idea that you can't do it alone. That's where you need to act small. Think big, big vision, but act small. Like what's the smallest, simplest, easiest thing that you can just do right now? It might be just picking up your phone and making a video. You want to have a YouTube channel? You want to build momentum? Create a video today, right now. And you won't know what you're talking about, and you won't have perfect audio, and you won't have the great lighting, and it will be garbage editing. Great. Because the biggest thing that's missing from you, from your mission actually happening, is momentum. You're a genius. You've got great ideas. That thing that's in here needs to be birthed, but there's no momentum. You're not doing enough on a daily basis to actually create that thing and get it out to the world. So think big, act small. And step number 3 is to understand that your bucket list is your excuse list. People walk around with a bucket list of things that they want to do before they die. The problem is you've given yourself until you die as your timeline. It's an excuse list. Look at what's on that bucket list. Everything on there is excuses. You've come up with stories as to why you can't do it. I just came back from speaking at Dean Graziosi's and Brendan Burchard's event in Phoenix, and there was a woman who was in front of me, said, hey, I've got dancing on my bucket list. She found out that I had owned Toronto Dance Salsa, and now dancing's on my bucket list. Like, don't say that. Your bucket list is your excuse list. And then she was taken aback, but then she looked down and she pulled up her dress a little bit, and you could see she had a broken foot or something wrong with one of her legs. I said, great. She's showing it to me as if, oh, now I'm supposed to understand your situation. That's why you can't go dancing. She showed it to me, and then I said, okay, can you march? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you march? She says, yeah, I can march, I can walk. Great, give me your hands. And I picked her up, and we started doing merengue. And I was doing all these turn patterns and making her move and turning around, and she had her first merengue dance. And then she realized, all I need is somebody to hold on to. I can dance, I just need somebody to hold on to. Don't wait until 5 years later, 10 years later, until you die for that bucket list to happen. Today, your bucket list is your excuse list. Stop telling yourself all the reasons why you can't do something, and if it was important enough to you, you'll chase it down. I'm passionate about this. I'm going to tell you one more story. There was one guy, same event, who says getting to the top of whatever mountain is on his bucket list. But he doesn't have the money to do it, and he doesn't have the time to do it, and all this stuff. And he's doing all these little things instead of chasing down his one big goal. If he hit the top of the mountain, everything else in his life would change, would be different. He'll come back a different person, a different human. All the things that he thinks are so important to him right now will not be important when he comes back. These little projects that are distracting him from doing the big thing that he wants to do will disappear. He'll come back a new human with a whole different path ahead of him. You have to figure out a way to get to the top of that mountain. You have to figure out, look at your bucket list and recognize that's just a list of excuses you've got there. Pick the thing that you actually care about and go chase it down immediately. Now I have a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, question of the day, I wanna know, what would the boldest version of you do? Let me know down in the comments below.
When I was at McDonald's and I got fired from McDonald's,
Flipping burgers or doing fries, or what were we doing?
whatever they had me do, they had me do what, you know, this is what we do, right? It's a factory. And I was 16 years old, and my dad had been dead 6 years, so like, you know, look, I'm uncertain, I'm 15, 16, I've just had sex for the first time, dude. Everything is so complicated.
Making $5 an hour at that point, whatever it was.
No, it's probably like 280.
Wow.
Yeah, but that wasn't the problem. I was grateful for the 280, but I was awkward. I was not confident. I didn't know how to talk to people. You know, I hated the job. But if somebody would say, "Dude, go learn this game, so you can own 50 McDonald's restaurants," like if I would have had that idea, I'll bet you I would own a bunch of McDonald's franchises today. But I went there just for the 280. Yeah. Not for, hey, I want to do something. I truly think that the thing that I've suffered from the most in my life, as I look at Kobe and, you know, all these pictures of these great people, you know, dude, I just thought too small. I was worried about the $80. And I was worried about what the car dealers thought about me, that audience.
Spanx was profitable from the first month that I was in business, and I'm of the belief system for me in my journey to start small, think big, and scale fast. And a lot of people want to start big and think big, and oftentimes get ahead of themselves, and that can end wildly successfully, but it can also cause a lot of problems, and you dilute yourself down a lot, and you know, then you have a lot of other people you're answering to. So that just was the journey that I took. You know, I mean, I started it with $5,000. I've never had any outside funding, and whatever money I made from selling Spanx, I just put back into the business.
I love that. Start small, think big.
If you want Dan Peña's advice on how to be great, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
The first 50,000 or 100,000 euros in revenue when you start is geometric growth.